Indiana Fever fans are furious with this signing. Absolutely furious with the fact the Fever have signed.
The Indiana Fever have just made a move that has fans scratching their heads, and it didn't take long for the internet to blow up over it. They signed Brianna Turner, a player who, on paper, could be a solid defensive addition. Turner is known for her shot blocking and rebounding ability, which was expected to bolster the Fever's defense as they gear up for a competitive season. But here's the thing. Indiana's fan base wasn't just questioning her basketball skills. They were livid because of Turner's history with one of the franchise's biggest stars, Caitlin Clark. For context, Caitlin Clark is the face of the Fever's future, a rising star who has been nothing short of a phenomenon in college basketball. With her talent and popularity, Clark has quickly become a cornerstone for the Fever's rebuild, making her presence essential to the team's success. So when Brianna Turner signed with the Fever, it sent shockwaves through the fan base. Why? Because Turner, in years past, had been vocal about her disdain for Clark and her Iowa team. Fans were quick to unearth tweets from Turner that weren't exactly flattering toward Clark. These were not just mild opinions either. Turner had been known to criticize Clark's rise to fame and success in a manner that made her seem anything but supportive. Now, Turner is walking into the same locker room as Caitlin Clark, someone she openly talked down about. This caused immediate friction, as fans and critics alike were left wondering how these two players would coexist. Could Turner put her past remarks behind her and work with Clark to build a winning team? Or would her past actions create an awkward atmosphere that would affect the entire locker room? The signing was supposed to be a great addition for the Fever. Turner's defensive prowess, after all, made her one of the league's top defenders. But it was clear that the Fever's front office had overlooked the potential drama this move would bring. In a time when the Fever were looking to build team chemistry and focus on a championship run, bringing in Turner, who had a history of publicly bashing their star player, seemed like a major misstep. The team had been making all the right moves in free agency up until that point, resigning key players, making trades to add more talent, but signing Turner threw a wrench into those plans. This wasn't just a hypothetical issue either. Social media blew up in real time as fans dug through Turner's past posts, unearthed old tweets, and questioned the reasoning behind her signing. In fact, Turner didn't help her case by immediately blocking fans on Twitter who dared to bring up her past comments. Rather than acknowledge the situation or show any effort to move past her previous statements, Turner seemed to double down by isolating fans who were trying to understand the situation. It was like watching a player fumble their own fast break, a mistake that could have easily been avoided, but instead became a mess that was impossible to ignore. What made this even worse was the fact that Turner was also refusing to show any humility about her past behavior. Instead of addressing the controversy head-on and trying to win over the fans, she acted like she had nothing to apologize for. It was as if she didn't care what people thought of her off-the-court behavior as long as she could block shots and pull down rebounds. And that's where things got even more complicated. The Fever fans were looking for someone who would add to the team's chemistry, not disrupt it. Players like Aja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and Aaliyah Boston had been leading by example on their teams, welcoming new teammates, supporting their fellow stars, and fostering a positive environment. These players embraced the challenge of competing with top-tier talent, knowing that their collective strength would make their teams better. But Turner? She was out here making headlines for all the wrong reasons. While others were focused on the game, Turner was turning her social media feed into a battleground, picking fights with fans and refusing to back down. And don't get it twisted, Turner has talent. She's a two-time All-WNBA defensive first-team player and has proven her worth on the court as a rim protector. But let's be real for a second. What is a great defender really worth if they can't contribute on the offensive end? Turner is not exactly lighting up the scoreboard. With less than 5 points per game over the course of her career, she's not someone who's going to change the game with her scoring. So, if she's not providing the firepower and her off-the-court antics are already causing a stir, you start to question whether she's worth the trouble. Indiana had the pieces in place to be competitive in the league. Players like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Sophie Cunningham were part of the team's core, but the addition of Turner put all that at risk. To make matters worse, fans began to draw comparisons between Turner and other players on the roster. Aaliyah Boston, for example, is a leader who knows how to balance both her on-court performance and her role in supporting her teammates. She understands that a rising tide lifts all boats, and she embraces the challenge of playing alongside other stars, including Caitlin Clark. But Turner? She seemed to be more focused on her social media presence than her place on the court, causing many to wonder whether she would even fit into the locker room dynamic. Imagine Clark walking into that locker room, ready to take on the season, only to be met with a teammate who has publicly undermined her in the past. Talk about awkward. What made this situation all the more painful for the Fever was that they had been on a roll in free agency. The team was stacking talent, building a roster that seemed poised to contend. Then, out of nowhere, they signed Turner, who, let's be honest, isn't exactly known for her offensive contributions. She's a defensive specialist, which is great, but she doesn't exactly move the needle when it comes to putting points on the board. Meanwhile, the Fever were trying to build an offense around Caitlin Clark, and now they've brought in a player who had, for lack of a better word, trashed her in the past. It didn't take long for the backlash to escalate. Turner wasn't just adding value on the court, she was stirring the pot off it. Fans felt betrayed, and her immediate reaction of blocking anyone who dared to criticize her past was a bad look. Instead of doing the work to win over the fan base and prove herself as a valuable member of the team, she was playing victim and focusing on her Twitter battles. It wasn't just immature, it was damaging. It's one thing to make a mistake and own up to it. It's another to completely disregard the opinions of fans and teammates who are invested in the team's success. As much as Turner can contribute on the defensive end, the truth is that the Fever need more than just someone who can stop the ball. They need someone who's willing to buy into the team's vision, someone who will mesh with the culture they're building. Unfortunately, with all the drama surrounding her signing, it's hard to see Turner as anything more than a distraction at this point. And while the Fever have a lot of talent, they don't need a player who might divide the locker room or cause unnecessary tension. Brianna Turner has a lot to prove. She's a talented player, no doubt, but she needs to show that she can handle the pressure of playing for a team that has serious championship aspirations. Right now, her focus seems to be more on defending her past actions online than contributing to a championship-caliber squad. If she can put the Twitter drama behind her, focus on her role on the court, and embrace her teammates, especially Caitlin Clark, there might be a chance for her to win back the fan base. But if she continues to let her personal vendettas spill over into her professional life, the Fever may regret this signing. In the end, the question remains, was this a brilliant defensive pickup, or was it a major misstep for a team trying to make a playoff run? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, Brianna Turner's WNBA career may have just hit the most interesting and most controversial chapter yet.